Okay, welcome to Talk of the Town, show number 381. With the lineup of amigos we have tonight, the three amigos, looks like it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. And please call in if you get a chance. Okay, here are the great underwriters. Stoll's Cafe in Manamet, great food, great people. Brewster PC Solutions with Wrestling Brewster.
That's
Tune
you.
into Wrestling Show. Yes, it is. Attorneys Trifletti and Costa on Long Pond Road. You get action and results. Jeff Cohen from One Stop Painting, he was just here. And underwriters David and Kevin Gallerani, owners of Cape Auto Body and Service. Locations are Samoset and Sandwich Street, right here in Plymouth. Great service. Okay, so we've got Mr. Steve Lyden and Mr. Randy Parker. Welcome, boys.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot, Wesley.
Awesome.
Randy?
And we're here at Three Amigos to talk about anything we want to talk about.
Well, there's been a lot to talk about this week and last week. Yeah, well, I'd like to mention the county commissioners and what they...
Your friends.
My friends. I'm going to leave it at that.
It's a short conversation then.
Yeah, I won't call them Mo, Larry, and Curly tonight.
Okay.
But yeah, they want to put in a regional transfer station at Exit 5 where our old transfer station was. And from what I understand, they're going to take, I guess, construction material, demolition material also. And behind that, there's a wooded lot where they want to put in a giant solar field. And according to this woman, I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names, but she was at the selectmen's meeting a couple weeks ago, and she is concerned about the Pine Barrens, and it's environmentally kind of a sensitive area. And the county commissioners want to take out gravel, put a big pit in. I'm definitely against both of these. You know, I'm not against solar fields, but when you start taking out all that gravel, and if you're cutting into environmentally insensitive area, I think it's crazy. And besides, I don't think the commissioners have been to Natural Heritage to vet this process or this project. I mean, I don't think they have to. They feel they don't have to do anything. I mean, these are great guys. I mean, they lay off people at the Registry of Deeds, and then they want to give themselves a raise. Nice job. That's dedication. So
they want to put in a transfer station.
Yep.
Not on the same site.
The same site.
The same site as the old dump?
Basically the same site.
Can't do it.
Why not?
You got to take care of the vetment first. You got to get all that stuff out of there.
They say they don't have to. When they came to the town was going to make a deal. The town of Plymouth wanted to make a deal with the county commissioners that they would do it together. They would remove all the hazardous material from the old dump site. Not just where the police station is, but the whole site. And the county commissioners reneged, and they wouldn't sign off on the deal. They're saying that the way they read the regulations, it doesn't have to be removed. I asked them at a selectmen's meeting how much of the $6 million was the county going to kick in to help pay for the mitigation they were doing to the police station. And I said the county did dump trash in there along with the town, so part of it's your trash. And I'll tell you, clams couldn't be tighter. They wouldn't even answer me. They clammed right up.
Basically, we closed that dump because we had to.
Yep.
And
well, we had to, one, because of the material was there, and two is because we didn't own the land, and the county wouldn't.
Right.
And the county wouldn't give us, sign a lease with us or sell the land.
So they want to put.
Yes.
With all the money they've got.
They have no money. That's exactly the thing. They have no money, and they're trying to get. They don't care who they step on. And right now, Plymouth's the biggest town, and we have the most land, and they own property here. So, I think they feel they can do whatever they want, and they don't care about the residents of Plymouth, and they're just trying to save their own jobs. And
then they're trying to put a
solar field.
What's going in at Exit 5? Looks like solar fields. Right at that turnaround.
That's the state. The state's putting that in. That's going to be a state solar field.
Really?
Solar field, yep.
Wow.
But they're not cutting down any trees there.
No.
It's pretty barren there.
Not at all.
But, the county, I don't know why we need a county for anymore. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion and debate about whether we need a county.
Yeah, I don't understand, what...
County government has been mismanaged for a very long time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
So,
but I think their objective is to remove the sand and gravel for income. What are they talking? Perhaps 250,000 yards?
I
But
believe.
you can't do that at the dump.
The dump might be a small portion of it. The presentation that Charles Heller did
Yeah.
the other night showed a number of parcels of wooded property. She said that they were in a mapped biocore, and that's an area that's identified by the NHESP, but there aren't any regulations that run with it. It's not an estimated priority habitat, and it's been remanded by the land court back to the Board of Appeals for approval.
Wow.
So it really becomes, I think, a political issue at this point. And we'll see what falls out of it, but clearly it's driven by the county commissioner's need for income.
Yeah.
I asked the question of one of the Pine Barrens members, didn't the county have buildings they could put solar panels on to generate income? But I think they're looking for everything that they can get. So I think the Woods find themselves in a difficult situation.
Yeah.
It appears that they're entitled to do what they have permitted, or what the Board of Appeals needs to recognize as a permit that met the criteria they were required to meet.
Wow.
So I don't know what you do about it, other than jump and yell and say, we don't like this.
Right.
But
Yeah, that does. It's interesting how much of a loss of voice we, as the GQ public, have when we jump up and down and yell and scream.
Well, I don't know about that. I think that it has in the past done a lot of good. I'm typically on the other side of the table where the people are jumping up and down and screaming at me.
Yep.
Because we're permitting subdivisions, open space, special permit, rural density development, and every place that we have to go to realize any return on people's property, what's left is substantially the Pine Barrens.
Right.
In most instances, it's rare that you're not in some area that's protected. And when people band together and join their resources, they can do quite a lot to slow down and stop processes, whether we all like it or not in one instance or the other. Our system is based on. It's capitalism, and the county commissioners are no different.
Yeah.
They want money too.
I just, the county commissioners have been mismanaged monetarily and judicially for so long, and we keep complaining about them, and they keep going on and on.
You know, I just feel that they really, they are going to get, like Randy said, and I'm glad Randy's here tonight because he's more of an expert on it than I am.
He's smart.
He is smart.
No.
And but they don't seem to care about anything about getting every dollar they can to try to save themselves. And I think sooner or later there's no savings. They're going to have to go. They just can't do it. They don't have the jail. They don't have the county jail anymore.
Right.
The state took that over. I know the state doesn't reimburse them as much as they should or whatever, but I don't see them. I can't see them, staying the course.
Entity.
I can't see them staying the course.
Yeah.
They're not a viable group or organization.
Well, but you have to wonder if there might be another viable option for the property. Has anybody looked if it can be put on a CPA list? Can the county settle for enough from it without cutting the trees down? Because I empathize, and I think most people do, with Charles Heller and Evelyn Strawn and the Alliance. I can remember a song by an artist called John Prine, where a child is asking his father, will you take me back to Muhlenberg County?
Very good song.
And the father says, I'm sorry, my son, you're too late in asking. Mr. what was his name?
I can't.
Muirborough's coal train has hauled it away.
Right.
And I think that people have a problem with that in Plymouth.
Yep.
Is they're just hauling it away.
Yeah.
But if it's legitimately done and all the bases are covered, the rules are the rules, and we need to go by them.
Yeah. Yep. What do you think at home? Call 508-830-3971 and let us know what your opinion is. We'd love to hear from you. You know, Mr. Galleran, he can't hold it all by himself, so someone else has got to call in.
Well, I'll tell you, I would like to know if anybody knows anything about the first medical marijuana facility opening in Massachusetts. I'm interested in the
Salem.
particulars.
In Salem, right?
It's opened up in, I saw in the news today, it's opened up in Salem. Mr. Delahunt is no longer associated with the group that came here in Plymouth. The courts stopped that, the one Mr. Delahunt was with stopped that organization from getting their permit. They took him to court, and the judge said that they could have a permit. I don't think they've been back to Plymouth, and I don't understand why, because they seem to be very excited about coming here and wanted to come here. And it was not only was the group Mr. Delahunt was with, there was a couple other groups that came in and, were interviewed by the selectmen.
Conflict of interest with Mr. Delahunt.
No, they said it wasn't.
I know, but
They
can say anything they want about conflict of interest.
I know, but there was at least him. There was, I think, two other groups, if I can remember right. They were here that they couldn't wait to come to Plymouth, and they had plans, and they talked about security, and they talked about their building, and.
Yep.
And
so what's everybody's opinion about that?
I'm
About
for
medical
it.
marijuana?
I'm for it.
About these plants?
I'm for it. There's a lot of people who have cancers or other ailments that need, medical marijuana to get over the
Pain.
The pain, but not only that, it helps with chemo and things
Yep.
like that. So it helps, helps them get over that. And it's not the smoking kind. It's, from what I understand, it's not stuff you take home and smoke. They put them in pill form and tablet form. It's not all.
But it's both. But all right. So how do you police that?
You have to have a prescription to get it.
Yeah, you have to have a prescription to get most things. People
But-
still do.
No, I know, but people get driver's license and they still drink. They drive drunk.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Right.
The laws are there, and if you break the law, then you pay the price.
I just think that the proprietors of these places have got to be vetted pretty carefully.
Well, I thought they were vetted pretty good over through the select board. They had to come back. It was
Right, but that's the vetting. But I think that I think as a whole, the whole thing has got to be pretty damn secure. So I don't want my kid walking in there with a fake ID and a fake prescription being able to get it.
Well,
I don't think that's going to happen.
Why?
Well, I think that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has already come out in comparison to other states as being very stringent in its criteria. This has moved so slowly.
Yep.
And I think that it needs to happen. One of the things that I hope it's helpful with is the huge opiate and drug cocktail problem that we have in the region and otherwise, because I know that people coming out of that particular problem look to marijuana for anxiety relief. Mm-hmm. It beats the hell out of drinking. It gives them something to do that at least at some level encourages a feeling of normalcy, like I can be like everybody else to some extent.
Okay.
So I hope that it's helpful.
That opiate thing is something that we've got to deal with.
but let me ask a question. If marijuana becomes legal in the state of Massachusetts, does it make a difference what, Because they have a bill now. They're going to be on. I think it's going to be on the ballot.
Yeah.
They want Massachusetts to become like Colorado. You can walk in and buy it anywhere. And if that goes
tax the hell out of it then.
Well,
that's
will.
always my opinion. If you want to make it legal, tax the hell out of it.
They will. They will. Oh, believe me, the state taxes everything.
Right.
But I mean, I think that's. I got a problem with that.
With legalizing it completely?
Yeah. That I have a problem with.
Kind of puts those people out of business.
Well, it does. It does. But still, at least there's some control. There's some control. With medical marijuana, there's a system. There's a system in place to make sure that only the people who need it and are supposed to have it get it. When you go, if they just legalize carte blanche, it'll be everywhere.
Yep. The question that they would say, I'm with you on that, because I think that's a slippery slope, and that's not the way we want to go. There are people who would say, what's the difference between legalizing alcohol and legalizing marijuana?
That question's been around for a long time.
Right,
I can't answer
it. Has.
I can't answer that.
Well, I can. There is no difference. So, as far as I'm concerned, marijuana should be legalized for recreational use. I mean, we dealt with prohibition with alcohol. We deal with prohibition with marijuana, and it simply doesn't work. And there are huge losses to our economy because of it. And I'll tell you what I would really like to see. I don't care about legalizing it. I don't care much about medical marijuana, though I could qualify should I want a prescription. Maybe I'll go get one. But I like the idea of this stuff grows out of the ground. I just like to be able to grow my own plant, consume my own plant, be able to have a number of our own plants. Steve can have a garden too.
No, he can't. He's got a dog.
And
the dog will go.
It'll be some time before we see marijuana legalized.
I think one of the problems we have with society today is that smoking's become passé. It's become something that you don't smoke in public buildings anymore. You don't smoke in restaurants. So there's a coalition, I guess that's the best term I can use, to get smoking out of society, which I think they've done. You look back in the 1950s, everybody smoked. Everybody smoked everywhere.
I did. I smoked for years.
And you look now, nobody smokes. There's a collection of people at the door to every restaurant and every bar smoking, but nobody smokes inside. So I think that's one of the hurdles that marijuana has, is that's the main way that it gets consumed is by smoking. So you got to go through that hurdle of the whole smoking and the health thing. That there is, health factors to smoking that cause different things. So I think we've beaten that dead horse. Have we?
Yeah.
No, maybe not quite. I used to envision a day, and it certainly will not be in my lifetime, when there's this nice little old lady on the other side of the fence, and she's got a nice pot plant, and she just can't consume it all, And she says, "Wait, Randy, would you like this pot plant?" Well,
that's
sure,
your dream?
that'd be
That's
cool.
Randy's dream.
That's only one of my fantasies. That one's way out there.
We won't go into all of them.
But that'd be a pretty laid-back world to me.
Yeah.
And, smoking, it certainly isn't the only manner of rational consumption.
Right.
It's a fun thing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the medical aspects, and I look forward to people being able to take advantage of that.
I do too.
It's an ungateway drug as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that's an interesting perception. Let's talk a little bit about the amount of bike races that we have in town. Gee, Steve, I hear that there's a new
a committee was formed the other last night by the selectmen, by Ken Chavaris. I guess there's been some problems with bike races, the amount of bike races, how they're being handled in the town of Plymouth. So they started a committee, and they have to report back to the select board by the end of the year about, to see what they can, see if we have too many races, or how we can make the races better, and And there is a problem. I can't say anything about downtown or what goes on downtown, because when I hear there's a bike race, I stay home.
Long Pond Road.
Okay? But I live in South Plymouth, and I'll tell you, it's horrendous when you see these, when they ride on Long Pond Road, Halfway Pond Road, and Bourne Road.
Jordan Road, too.
And Jordan Road's another
Yep.
one. When they get onto these narrow, windy roads, it's horrible. There's no information. There's nothing out there that says bike race in progress. Caution bikers. Caution runners. A couple years ago, it was a race that was sponsored by MS. It's a great organization, and they're raising money. But on the other hand I was coming up Bourne Road, and there's some woman standing in the middle of the street with one of those styrofoam noodles, and she's waving. I think the woman's nuts. I'm not going to stop for her. And I start going by, and she starts screaming at me to stop because she wanted to let people out of the school that they're part of the race. That's no way, to stop traffic with a noodle.
And we only have so many police that can traffic that.
She had no vest, no stops. I thought it was some lady who kind of got loose from the nut farm. Right. They ride 2 and 3 abreast. And the last thing I want to do is hit either a runner or someone on a bicycle. That's a nightmare.
Pedestrians are okay?
Yeah, okay. Pedestrians are okay. But, it's crazy. And I know that these bike races, they are organizations, and they're doing it to raise money. I know they bring money into the town with sales tax, meals tax, hotel tax. So it does, that way it does help the town too. But
got to get a handle on it.
You got to get a handle on it.
It's every other weekend. And I live near Long Pond Road in Jordan, and it's every other weekend when I get out my driveway and I got to wait. I'm like, okay, and then they let you go. And then I was behind a bunch of bikers going down Jordan Road, and there was 4 abreast.
Yep.
And the one behind them was yelling, "Car!" And they wouldn't get off.
No.
And he looks at me and he goes, "They ruin it for the rest of us."
Yeah.
And it's hard to traffic, and they've got one cop at the end of Jordan Road, one cop over at the end of Clifford, and but in between Jordan Road and Clifford, that's my road, and I got to be driving down that every day.
And the other thing too is, what happens if a police crews are responding, or a fire truck?
Yep.
That's. So there is some serious safety problems when you get to the rural areas of town on these races. Downtown, I'm on this committee. I was asked to be on this committee, and I'd like to hear what's going on downtown and what the problems are, and hopefully by the end of the year, we can find out what's going on and improve the situation, whether it's limiting some of the races or having
more communication,
have more communications, have more signage, more, have more people out with vests or something. But it's not run well as far as I'm concerned. And like I say, I know it's to raise money and for good causes, and but still, it's not worth someone getting hit by a car or someone getting killed. It's just not worth it.
And I'm the first one to say, oh, gee, another committee, but I think it's great that we're starting to look at this because it is a concern to the citizens.
Yeah, it is.
I think one of the former selectmen, Harnaeus, kept bringing it up when he was still a selectman, and he kept saying, I almost hit someone the other day.
Yeah.
What's the regulations on this?
Yeah.
What do they have to be vetted? Do they have to get a permit? Do they have to do these things?
They have to get permits, I believe.
Yeah.
They have to get permits, and they have to meet with, I think, the police chief and the fire chief and different organizations, So, like I said, Captain Rogers is on this committee. Chief Bradley's on the committee. I'm on the committee. There's the 2 race directors and live in Plymouth. They're going to be on the committee. And I'm sorry, I didn't get all the names. I haven't met with the committee yet, but there's several other people.
That's awesome.
I think Jessica Casey is her name. She's the new economic director.
Oh, good.
I believe she's going to be on it. So, so hopefully, with where I from the suburb, like the rural part of town, and they're people from the in town and downtown, and we can meet together and come up with a solution.
Awesome.
I think it'd be great.
I've wondered at the alternative of a mountain bike race. We have in Manomet, for example, 1,000 acres that goes from behind Indian Brook School down to Old Sandwich Road, over to Ship Pond Road, and up behind Shallow Pond Estates. And there are some magnificent trails that the ATVers use back there.
Yep.
I wonder if instead of riding down the highways, one could look at a different type of bicycle race where you don't have to worry about running people over or safety issues. You would have to be concerned about how do you deal with somebody that gets hurt.
Yeah.
I once got stuck out there in my Titan driving through a puddle in the winter, and the ice broke and the tires fell through, and they just sat there and spun. Who knows what can happen on a bicycle? But I think that would be a really interesting type of race to have and to sponsor.
State Forest.
Seth Lawrence had expressed some interest in it. The State Forest would be fantastic.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
State Forest.
So maybe we should look at racing bicycles off the roads.
Well, there'll be two people that sponsor races, on the committee. So I'll bring that up. Awesome. Thank you guys.
See, we figured it out. The three amigos, call them up. Three amigos figured it out. Don't worry about it.
If you have any suggestions, or if you had any problems, call me up. I'm in the book, Steve Leiden. Call me up.
Or if you want to talk to us tonight, the number is 508-830-3971. Give us a call. It's about time for Gallerani to call so we can get new subjects.
Talk about what he had at lunch today.
That's right.
As long as we're not boring.
That's right. We can't be boring. Can't be boring. I want to talk a little bit about Harbor Day that was last weekend. Great day for the town. We want to keep pushing that. I'm a member on the Harbor Committee, and Harbor Committee took that over from the Chamber. We had the blessing of the fleet. We had about 35 boats during the blessing. Had probably 400 people all day long. We had some great stuff for the kids. So it was just a great day for Plymouth, and I think it was well attended, and hopefully next year it'll be even more attended.
I was there.
I know.
I showed up. Me and Gus, my dog. Gus goes everywhere.
Gus goes everywhere.
Gus goes everywhere.
Yeah.
But the other thing too about the Harbor Committee, that was partially funded by the VSB board, and that's a board in Plymouth that helps to expand tourism, to help people come into town to bring in tourism. So, and they also do bike races, so that's
and we're back to bike races.
We'll have to look that up too, but, really, the Chamber, and there's a lot of different groups, the concerts, there's a lot that goes on downtown, and people should take advantage of it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. The free concerts.
Yeah, and it's free.
On the waterfront.
How about, what do you get for free nowadays? Not much.
Not much. Yeah. I got to hand it to... what's his name who does the concerts down there?
Mike Landers?
Mike Landers.
Mike's a great...
He's been doing that for a lot of years. He's got some people who come specifically for those from all over the United States.
Mike's great. Mike's a hard-working guy. He really is. He does a lot for the town of Plymouth.
Yes, he does.
He's a good guy.
He does. So, Randy, anything you want to talk about endings or beginnings?
Well, we might get there. First, I was interested in hearing that we have a new appointment to the Advisory and Finance Committee. I think a Mrs. Brewster.
Yep.
That is not a committee that I think I could ever conscientiously serve on. Those people work really hard. It is a marathon, and you're going to regret this.
Oh, well.
It should be interesting because my perception of Mrs. Brewster is I think she's conservative. And conservative in a liberal community, as I believe Plymouth is, has its challenges. Mm-hmm. So my condolences on that appointment, and congratulations to Belinda that she's still plugs away and takes an interest and wants to take on something as demanding as that is above and beyond, and she has my gratitude and appreciation.
Well, it's interesting if you look at the people who are involved, like the Bukeses, for example. They're involved because they give a damn about the town. And, you know, if you go to elections and people complain about their taxes or complain about the streets or complain about something in the town, did you vote in the last election? Have you ever held an office in the town? You know, I'm concerned about the harbor, so I got on the harbor committee. Harbor committee is doing a lot right now with the harbor plan, with aquaculture, and I'm proud to be on there because it's something I'm concerned about. And I know, Steve, you're in a bunch of different committees.
I'm on several committees.
But it's a community of people who give a darn and stand up and say, well, I'm going to be part of the answer, not part of the question. And I think that's what we need in this community is we need more people to say, all right, I'm going to stop complaining about the road work and start talking to to JB and talk to the selectmen. You know, your selectmen are there for a reason, and you should be able to. They're a public employee, so you should be able to talk to them about anything.
Well, I appreciate it. In fact, you talk about JB, myself and the Hapgoods, we called up JB. We had a meeting with JB. He sat down over an hour, explained a lot of stuff to us, and you know, it's good that and he will do that, not just to me.
He's got an open door policy.
But he's got an open door policy,
Yep.
you know, and he's great. And it's not just him. It's just about every department you go. If you call the town manager, she'll get back to you. If you leave her a message, she will get back to you. You know, and I found that with most people at the town hall. And what Randy said about being on the finance committee, I could never be on that committee. That committee, they put in so much time. You know, especially like the marathon, he's right. You know, when town meeting's coming up and all the budgets are coming in, they go through everything.
Yep.
They go through every nook and cranny on people's requests. I says, you know, God bless her. I mean, she's a smart woman. Your wife, Belinda's a smart woman, and I've seen how very organized she is and the research she does. And, you know, I miss her not being on the board, but, you know, she'll be a great asset. But there's other committees. I mean, if you go on the website, it tells you there's all kinds of openings.
Yep.
You know, and
yeah, the other night when we had the appointments, there were 5 or 6 that had one person for five positions.
I mean, there's something there for everybody. So you got to be, you know, if you're interested in anything, it's probably one of those committees. And it's not only that, you're going to meet some great people. I have met some great people. And who started me off was the Hapgoods. They are the most dedicated, wonderful people who give more to this town than anyone I've known. I mean, they're just great people. And they got me interested, and since, you know, I've been going strong from them. They're the ones who instilled me, you know, inspired me, I guess, to go. But, yeah, there's a lot of different committees, and, you know, Tim Grandy just got appointed to the building committee. He's on the charter committee.
Yeah, the charter committee.
That's.
I was hoping he'd be here tonight so I could talk to him about what they're doing with conflict of interest and the fact that instead of conflict of interest, they're going to diminish the amount of members.
No,
I don't think so.
They're trying to. Or they discussed it. Excuse me. They discussed it. If they discussed taking the amount of members down.
Right. One member wanted to, one member wanted to bring it down to 1 town meeting member per precinct.
Yeah.
Then he said he could settle for 3.
Right. 6 would be okay.
Well, they just voted, and I guess they're going to keep it the way it is.
Really?
Yeah. The zoning board of appeals, they want them elected, not to be appointed.
I could deal with that.
That was one of the things brought up. The other thing was brought up, the conflict of interest, and I think they want to do away with it, all of it. They want it out of the charter.
Yeah, because it's too difficult.
Well, Mr. Abbott was before the committee tonight, and he's the one who wrote the conflict of interest that's in the charter now.
Yeah.
So he was there in front of them tonight. So I don't know what the vote was, whether they're going to keep it or what's going on.
Because the moderator was there the night I watched, and he was saying that he thinks it's ridiculous.
Yes, he does.
Because it's too hard to manage, and he'd be the one to manage it.
Well, you know, I don't know. I don't know. We have electronic voting, and let me get to this first. They brought that up,
Yep.
And I said, you know, we voted to have electronic voting, and it was my opinion that it was supposed to be so it would be open, and the public would know what was going on. And I couldn't make the last town meeting, and I watched a rerun on PAC TV, and I looked at the screen, and there's nothing there.
Oh yeah.
So I guess they're going to change that, so now you'll be able to see on the screen. But, you know, if it was up on the screen, people were voting, and if they had, like, if you're incumbent or you're a lobbyist, they could have, like, a L beside your name, or, a town employee, so when a vote come up, it could block you from voting.
That'd be great, but that's not going to happen.
Well, no, it's not.
The whole theory, if I can, the whole theory behind the electronic voting and conflict of interest is we'll have a list of every vote.
Accountability.
So the smart voters will look and say, this is what I wanted to vote on, this is how I wanted to vote. Oh, this person didn't vote that way, I'm not going to vote for them for re-election.
Right.
But the problem is we've got 20% of the voters voting. And of those 20%, I would fathom a guess at how many people would actually do those counting.
Well, then what you could do is maybe the finance committee could work on this and change the bylaw that you pull the salaries out of the budget. So the fire department, just say the police department.
Yep.
The police department's budget is, say, $2 million.
Yep.
$1 million to run it and $1 million in salaries.
Yep.
Okay, we would have to vote twice, one on the operations and one on the salaries.
Yep.
Then that way that would be a conflict of interest because they couldn't vote on their own salaries. But the moderator is saying it's too difficult when everything's bundled, that you can't tell who's what and who's
right.
So if we pull it out of
the problem with that though is the town meeting would never go for that because they want to get out of there in one day.
I think with the electronic voting that we have, so far in town meeting, it seems as though we tabulate some votes.
Yeah.
But not all votes.
Yep.
It doesn't take any more time
You're right.
to tabulate every vote.
That's a good point.
And we ought to give that system a chance to demonstrate its accountability before we get into any provisions that pit one town meeting member against another and looks to have town meeting vote to enforce whether someone is engaged in a conflict or not. I think we have to be proud enough of ourselves as a legislature to be able to execute an honor system and be good about it. I think
that would be wonderful.
I think we're making progress. I think we're going in that direction.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet.
I think
I would agree with that.
I think that's one of the things they are going to vote on, that every motion will be electronic, will be done electronically. I think that was before them also.
Really? Okay, cool.
So
Cool.
I think I'm the only town meeting member that still has his electronic voting remote from the last town meeting.
You don't take them home, Randy.
I should probably take it back to.
You still voting, Randy?
still voting.
He's watching the reruns, voting again.
my TV don't work.
I tried pointing it at Mrs. Parker at work the other day and pushing yes, and nothing happened.
Nothing happening.
I'm returning it.
There's nothing.
It's no good.
God.
So, go ahead.
I'd like to talk about the international chorus that's going to England. What a wonderful, wonderful thing for a bunch of children. There's 38
It's more than wonderful. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I saw those children perform at the school committee meeting, and I'll tell you, they weren't wonderful. They were fantastic. They were great. They really were, and I can't imagine all the work and the time that those kids and teachers put in. I
They've
think
been
it's
having
amazing.
a lot of practices.
Uh-oh, we got a phone call.
Oh, we got a caller.
I bet you
Hello,
know
caller.
who it is. I told you.
All right. First of all, let's start with chicken ziti and broccoli, okay?
Okay, awesome. I didn't get mine.
I'm not even going to talk about the marijuana thing.
That's
All right.
unfortunate.
So, but what I think is all these races that you were talking about earlier, I think what we need to do is have a kayak race off of Manamint Point, unless it's some sharks, right? And then,
Boy, do I have a kayak for you, Dave.
right?
Get a bite out of it.
Wouldn't bother the traffic that way, right?
Yeah.
And it might bother the boaters, but I don't even think the boaters go over there, right? There's
No,
rocks
it's too rocky.
over there, right?
Oh,
So,
good.
and sharks, rocks and sharks. And
There you go.
It's
So-
good fishing over there, Dave.
It's really not a problem. But, you know, one of the things that bothers me about the races, and I was talking to Lloyd Rosenberg today because he's doing a race, the Pan Mass Challenge for a friend, is that where does the money go for all these great ideals and these 503Cs that actually you wonder how much they're paying the CEO?
You got to turn your television down just a little bit. Yeah, that is a good question about where that money's actually going.
It bothers me a little bit. You know, I told him I'm going to give him money for the thing because he's doing the right thing, but
Right.
it bothers me because, you know, like with our Rotary or the Lions Club, we know that 100% of the money goes back to the community in most cases.
Yep.
And there's certainly not a CEO that's getting paid $500,000 a year.
Right.
I mean, even the hospital, I mean, you know, as much as I love our hospital, but where does the money go?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So that's just one thing. And then the last point I have is Route 44. When will it ever be done? And now this town's starting this sewer project up.
Hey, think of it this way. All those axles and shocks that are going all over that stuff, where are they going to have to stop?
It's good stuff. I love it. But it's really tough on the people. I mean, and they've left the road. They dig it down like 4 or 5 feet down there in front of the thing, in front of the, you know, and they left it like that over a weekend. What the heck are they doing? And then David Malaguti brought it up yesterday in the selectmen's meeting that they're doing a horrible job. And they're not doing it the right way. And as much, you know, you might like them, you might not like them, but I'll tell you what, David knows what he's talking about when it comes to roads.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a real problem.
I had to go to Harbor Day, and so I was going down Water Street, which is blocked off for a race. So I went up to Main Street and down North Street, and that was blocked off. So then I finally get down there, and then 44 is blocked off at the Rotary. I'm like, well, nobody's going to come to Harbor Day because they can't get there. It's ridiculous.
Isn't that a state project?
It is a state project.
And I know JB said he's...
Project manager and JB aren't getting along too well, and I can't wait. They've done both sides of my property. They've done they're doing down the street right now. They did above me, and I've talked to Brennan Nolan. He said they broke his sewer pipe. It backed up. He had problems. They said it wasn't their fault. Whose fault do they think it was, right? The Burke people, same thing. I can't wait until I get in front of my place. I don't know. It's a mess.
It is a mess.
Have you given any thought to moving your business to downtown Manamet, Dave?
I'm thinking about it. I got to get a water plant first. I got to get some of that tainted water that just got shut off. Bottled water.
Poland Spring comes to see us, you know.
That's right.
And so should you.
So I don't know. It's tough.
tough.
There's a lot of crazy things going on in town, but
Yeah.
it's a great town. We love it. You know, it's probably Brewster's fault. I mean, you know, they were off the Mayflower. And,
They could have planned the roads better.
Yeah.
really,
It was let those Italians in.
All that cluster housing he did.
when the place went to hell. I saw it last weekend. All right, you guys are in charge. Have fun out there.
Thanks, David. Thanks for calling. Hey, if anybody else has an opinion other than David Gallerani, please call 508-830-3971. We'd love to hear any opinions.
Why, he'd call back?
Yeah, he might call back. That'd be great.
Well, I have a confession to make.
Uh-oh.
I'm a Southerner. And,
I know, you're on the other side of that big hill.
well, further south of that, born in North Carolina and watching some of this stuff on television when it comes to the Confederate flag. I have a little bit of difficulty understanding why that flag as a symbol is upsetting to some people. I mean, we're all Americans. We had a disagreement. It was resolved.
We won.
And some people still like the way the flag looks. We have freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and I'm one that has a fondness for the Confederate flag.
We don't have freedom of speech and freedom.
I would hope we do.
We should.
We should.
But we don't. We become so PC that we can't upset anyone, so we upset everyone.
Well, I think then wrestling, it's getting a little bit ridiculous.
It is.
I mean,
I would agree with that.
There's something out there that does offend somebody.
Yep. That's right.
And so when somebody is offended, everybody can't do anything.
Right.
That's right.
And we're just kind of painting ourselves into a politically correct corner.
Oh, we sure are.
Well,
I'm a religious man myself, and it really bothers me that we can't put nativity scenes at federal buildings because it's going to upset the Jewish faith. All right, put a menorah up. Well, then it's going to upset the people who are agnostic. Well, then put nothing up. So we can't put anything up because we don't want to upset those people. And we become, as a society, a white, male, Christian, God-fearing person is a minority because you can't do any of that stuff because it's going to offend all the other people.
Well, you talk about the flag. I heard in the news today that there's a statue of Jefferson Davis, and they want to move it.
Yeah.
Because it's not in an appropriate place. It was in a park or whatever. And, I'm sorry. I don't have a problem with the flag, the Confederate flag. I think that was a very sad time in our history when I was watching something today on the History Channel and 50,000 people were killed at Gettysburg.
Yep.
So, and half of them, or more than half of them, were fighting under that Confederate flag. You can't take it. It's not personal. Why do we have to take everything personal? It's crazy. You can't say anything. Crazy. You have to walk around on eggshells because you're afraid you might offend somebody. And you take it the way it's meant. It's not meant as a bad thing. It's a part of our history. At least that's the way I feel. And it's like Old Glory's part of our,
Right.
And
you can do your Confederate flag as long as I can do my American
right.
flag.
It's everything's so over PC. It's crazy.
Oh, it is crazy.
There was a guy on TV this morning or yesterday, and he was outside of Walmart in New Hampshire, and they asked him, "What do you think about taking all these flags out?" He goes, "What's the matter with it?" He says, "Nothing wrong with that flag." He says, I love Duke of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard.
He says, I love the flag on that car.
Daisy Duke.
They're not going to get rid of the General Lee now, are they?
Yeah.
That's how silly it is.
It is.
You can't, not everything is meant to be hurtful or mean. It's just, I don't know. I think it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Well,
it's
simply a symbol.
Yeah, it's a symbol.
And it's an American symbol. You could be, one can be offended by crosses or the Star of David or the Confederate flag. I would hope that we can retain some degree of tolerance as a country. A little bit of putting up with one another goes a long way towards getting along.
Yep.
And that's That's what I enjoy, and it's one of the things that kept me in Manomet and Plymouth. I just found the people when I got here in 1972 to be so reasonable and tolerant, and obviously after 40-some years, forgiving.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said for that. And the town of Plymouth, I wish the rest of the world were more like we are.
Yeah.
It's a town that I'm very proud of when it comes to the way we all look at each other and the way we work together.
That's awesome.
But
And getting back to the international chorus, being proud, my son's a member of that, but they have been working really hard, and they've been doing great things. They did come up in front of
Hello, we got a phone call?
Have we got a phone call? Hello?
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to Talk of the Town.
Hi. Randy, this is Ada Kelly. I don't know if you remember me from real estate.
I remember you very well, Ava, out by Billington C. How are you? Yes?
Very good. Glad to see you're still out and about and having putting your responsible opinions out there. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm pleased you find them responsible. But many others might disagree with you, you know.
Hey, you're allowed an opinion.
That's right.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ava.
I just wanted to let you know that I have been in quite a few discussions about the bike races, and my experience recently was there were 3 deep cyclists in front of me and beside me, and I noticed that there was the white line for them to be in the bike lane. And they, like as one of you had just expressed, they were not going to move. They were going to stay 3 deep, and there was quite a bit of traffic.
Yeah, it's a dangerous situation. It really is, and I'm going to bring that up on the.
Stevie's on the job.
I'm going to bring that up at the committee. I live in a rural area, and I know exactly what you're talking about. It happens a lot. So hopefully we can. I'll bring it up to committee. Hopefully we can change things. Hopefully.
Right, and I mean, there's the state forest. There's other places, as Randy suggested, down near Ship Pond Road or whatever. And what is the reason that they have to be so prominently seen? Especially during tourist season, and it causes quite a bit of commotion, as you know. The other comment, Randy.
Yes, dear.
About the flag. The Union won.
Well, I understand that.
And the Confederate flag, to me, isn't, I have someone that I grew up with that family comes from down south. So I appreciate the history to it, but it should not be flown on the state's property because we're all Americans. Don't you agree?
I agree to the extent that the American flag should be flown in the highest and most privileged position. But I see a lot of flags flying in different places. I see flags in churches. I see flags at different institutions. There are a lot of symbols out there, Ada, and it may be, you may be correct. I think if an individual wants to privately harbor his own Confederate flag, well, we have that right. But to impose it on others in a governmental facility, you make a good point. It's certainly debatable.
No,
but, I spent my first 12 years of life in New Bern, North Carolina, and I'll tell you that my reelection from some 55 years ago or so, and it's interesting to me, is the Confederacy has not forgotten that they lost the war. And when I was a kid down there some 50 years ago, 55 years ago, they still held a grudge. And I just hope that's gone now. And maybe part of this Confederate flag thing, if your opinion prevails, might help do away with some of that, because we don't need that.
Right.
I just like our freedoms. I just like to be able to express, whether it's by symbolism or opinion, discussion, what ought to be shown or said without any imposing on our choices.
Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate your opinion, and
Call again.
call again.
Nice to hear from you, Ada.
First time I've ever made a call to one of these, but I noticed
great.
you weren't getting calls, so I did want to speak out about the bicycle situation.
Yes, it is a concern, and the town is working on it.
I heard you.
Do you have a bicycle?
Yes, I do. Oh, and there's one more thing about that.
Yeah, where do you ride
Why did
it?
they change the law that you're to go with the traffic? As you know, we grew up going the opposite towards the traffic so we could see and hear the cars. And if I ride my bike, I'm going to be on the wrong side of the street.
But you're not a racer.
No, I'm not a racer.
Okay. Well,
All right,
thanks a
well,
lot for calling. And
Thanks
like
again
I said,
for calling.
All right.
we've heard you. Good night.
Good night. Thanks for calling. Okay, just a quick note on the international chorus that I've been trying to get out. 4th of July, they're going to be singing the national anthem with the Philharmonic, which is a great thing. They're actually going over to England on the 5th of July, and they're going to be singing with 150 students over there. And it's going to be a great reach across the pond. And they're trying to make this such a big thing that this year they're going over there. Next year they're going to bring them back here, back and forth till the 2020, and it's going to be huge. And so these 6th, 7th, and 8th graders are being our ambassadors over to England. And a lot of them are going by themselves. They'll have chaperones, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And it's great that the school system has gotten this together. Dr. Maestes and his staff have worked really hard with the people over in England. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And any way you can support them would be great.
And they raised their own money.
And they did raise their own money.
No tax,
Yeah.
no tax,
no
bike
tax
races.
dollars at all.
No bike races.
So,
Tell us.
thank you for coming for the show, 381th show. And don't forget, if you see Karen around town, stop, yell at them. Tell them hello. And thanks for showing up. And Karen, I'll see you in 7.
Bye, Karen.
Bye, Karen. Good night, Karen.
Count your blessings, Karen.